Cool, everyone. So that was the end of this first session. So that was planning. So I'm not a tax practitioner and I'm not a BEE practitioner, so you must keep that in mind. Some people spend their whole careers doing those things. So the whole purpose of that planning stage was just to introduce you to those things. Because it can be quite daunting starting off a business and you're not really sure, like, ooh, should I worry about that, should I not? So the whole purpose of those was just to introduce you to it and say this is what you should consider, might consider, need to consider, but it is important to actually do business at the end of the day as well. I chose this quote in particular from George Patton, who is an American general. He says, "A good plan, violently executed now, is better than a perfect plan tomorrow." So you will never stop planning. You're always going to go back to that stage and say, what do I need to do now? Or what should I do better? How could I have done this better? Learn from that. But that mustn't stop you from starting. Just start, all right? You need to actually just go with it. What's quite a big stumbling block in starting an online business is this kind of stress that you don't actually know enough. But what I'm saying to you is just go for it. Have some sort of plan in place. You kind of have the tools now to do that, but don't waste time, because the only way you're going to learn about these things is actually by starting. And that's where we're coming to now, is the executing stage. So you planned, you know what you kind of need to do, you've considered different aspects, but let's do it, all right? Let's execute. Let's not waste any more time. Let's violently go about it, right? Don't go kind of with this half-hearted attitude. You need to throw yourself into this, all right? That's the only way you're going to succeed with having an e-commerce store, especially with the amount of time that it takes to plug into it, amount of time that you have to learn. So this is what this stage is all about, executing. How do I go about it? The first important thing we need to look at is actually having the website infrastructure. So you need to look good, right? It doesn't matter if you're giving a product or a service. You need to look good, have a good online store, have a great user experience. You're playing into the South African market, right? They love shopping. They love looking at things. You need to retain their attention. You want a very low bounce rate. That bounce rate means people come to your store and they leave after the first thing they've seen. So you want to have a great experience, that people come onto your store and they want to stay. Now, there's a few aspects that go into this, and I've considered a whole bunch of different e-commerce platforms. When I talk about the next infrastructures, I'm talking about having a product and selling that. So this is the stores that I'm going to be talking about for a bit. And I've looked at a lot of different websites where they offer this kind of building for that, or how do you go about that. But I'm convinced that Shopify is the best e-commerce platform right now. What that means is Shopify allows you to build a website. And Shopify is really, really good. And it's the best e-commerce solution currently available. And I say that for a few reasons. The first is that it requires little to no technical experience in website development. It is basically the equivalent of taking Legos and putting them on top of each other. That is as much as what Shopify is. The hardest part about it is actually becoming used to the environment or the building tools they give you. I'm going to show you examples of a Shopify store. It's actually Cocoon store. So I'm going to show you around Cocoon in terms of the back side, you know. So when you go to cocoon.co.za, you're going to see this clean user face, you know. I'm going to show you behind the scenes how that kind of got to where it looks like. And what's great about Shopify is kind of the integration you can have with it. So think about it in terms of that Lego building again. You can build a lot of things. You can make your own store however you want it to look, customizable, do whatever you want. But then you can also have a lot of plugins. So they call it apps, but basically what that is functionality you can give your store. So you can give it better search engine optimization. So that's another e-commerce term, SEO. When you Google something and you say, I want to buy a house, when you see that first landing page, those are the pages with the best SEO, the best search engine optimization. It gives you what you're looking for. And you want your store to have the best SEO, because face it, none of us go past the first page on Google. You don't go to number 2, you don't go to number 3, you don't go to number 4, unless you really can't find what you're looking for. but you want to be on the number one page. And Shopify allows you the ease of making a website, and then it also gives you that advantage of having these plugins that really boost your store. A lot of them are free and a lot of them are paid, but we'll go into pricing later. You kind of need to have this expectation when you're going into an e-commerce store. How much am I willing to put up front to make my store look good? How much am I willing to put up every month to get this kind of functionality that I want? How do I set my store apart? So Shopify offers you 10 free themes. They call it themes. Think of it as almost like a PowerPoint. When you choose a design, it kind of filters through the entire PowerPoint. The same thing happens with a Shopify theme. You select a theme and it'll be the very, very base. So where you place the Legos on, that's what it is. And it's really functional, useful, ease of use, looks good. They manage all the problems with servers and how many people can come on at once. They manage all of that for you. And you pretty much can create a very customizable, friendly user experience. So I'm going to show you now how Cocoon looks like. So you can see in the middle there is Cocoon, and it's kind of this rectangle. That's because I'm viewing my store in edit mode from the mobile side of view. So you can see above my Cocoon there is 3 buttons. It's the mobile one, the desktop, and then just full screen. What's great is that they really let you see how your store looks like on any type of device. That is amazing because you're getting immediate feedback. Sometimes if you're on the other side, if you're more of a technical person and you are able to actually make your own website, you have to constantly check, you put in this little bit of code, see what happens in my website. Is it going to be functional, usable? Does it look good? Shopify takes that all for you and gives you this instantaneous feedback. So you know exactly what you put in and you know exactly what's going to happen. So everything you see on this page of Cocoon is customizable. Every single thing there. I can change anything I want. I can add anything I want there. They give you on the far left, you'll see that there's something called sections. So you're able to customize different sections. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different sections there, and each one is customizable. So where you see the logo at the top, that's the header. So I can edit each one of those buttons. I can decide where it goes to. I can decide what other types of sections I'm going to have on the store. So this is my landing page, but I could have a shop. I could have a contact us. I could have a, blog. Shopify gives you the experience to really decide how you want your store to look like, how you want customers to flow through your store, right? That's important about having that user experience. And what's great is that it gives you the advantage of using stock footage. So remember we went back to product presentation. It's very important to show literally show your products off. And you can also, they give you free access to stock footage that you'd normally have to pay for. And that's great because stock footage can be very helpful with making your store attractive, making sure people actually enjoy it. So as you can see, I click the drop down arrow. I'm on my home page. Then I can go to the product pages, collection list, blogs, cart, checkout, the 4 page, which is if you can't find a link. All of those are customizable. So me as a store designer on Shopify, I am basically engineering your entire experience from when you first come onto the store to when you first leave all the way at checkout. I'm in control of that whole experience, which is what you actually want. You want to be with that customer. You want to see what they go through. You want to make it easy. There's this term in e-commerce that they use where it basically describes how long does it take to buy a product on your store. How many clicks does it take? You want to have the lowest amount of clicks possible. You basically want someone to come onto your store, click buy now, and then go straight to checkout. You want it in like 1 or 2. That's as much as you want because you want people to have convenience, but also have a good time on your website. After all, at the end of the day, people are after something, which is a product, and you want to get them to them the quickest. So this is the back end of basically the sections editing of Shopify. So you edit the big sections. Now the next one is the product edit. So this is still on cocoon. So you can see I've gone to the desktop version. This is an example of the care cocoons we offer, which is just those care packages. So you can see on the left, I'm in control of the header, the product pages, the product recommendations, and the footer, which is the very bottom part of your website. I'm in control of all of that. What Shopify will do in the next slide, which I'll show you, is where you actually edit these things that are shown here. So right now, I'm just in control of the overall experience, but Shopify lets you go deeper inside where you can actually edit each of these products, change the different headers. And you can see there's a block there that says, what should the customized note say? So that's not a normal Shopify feature, right? Shopify doesn't give you that amount of customization. They want you to just have this big picture. But like I was saying, the advantage of Shopify is the amount of plugins you can have. So I'm actually going to show you all the plugins I have on my store, but it gives you the advantage to really make a customizable experience. You know, I've added that through an app that allows me to have different options for my thing, so that when people come and buy a care cocoon, they can type a little note that'll get printed with the care package and get sent to people. That's an app, and that's a free app. So I have a free theme and I have a free app. So my input into starting a Shopify store was £0. There was nothing I had to do to get this experience, but there is a monthly subscription, which I'll show you guys. Here are the apps that I've used. So you can see it's numerous, and there's still more that are underneath this all the way down. Each one of these apps serves a different purpose, and it really goes to make my store stand apart from others, right? And it's not hard either. So the most I was telling you that's just hard with Shopify is actually getting used to the environment and trying to understand what it's capable of. And that's really what the far left column is all about. You can see you can start with home, which is pretty much where it just gives you an overview of your store. Orders is where orders actually start coming in. Shopify gives you great interaction with your customers. So when a customer comes on and they put on their details, it'll create a customer profile for them, which tracks their experiences on the website, tracks when they come on, tracks how much time they spent on your website, tracks how much time they spent looking at a certain product, leaves their details there for you, you know. It gives you a great option to actually have that full experience with them, and you have everything you need to know about them. That's what's great about Shopify. It takes all the admin away from having an online store. You literally have all the tools at your disposal. The next one after orders is products. That's what I was talking about. That's where you add your products. That's where you can edit them, how they look like, what they say, you know, what links they may have. Do you want to add a video? You know, fully customizable. The next one is customers. That's what I was talking about. Analytics. Shopify has built-in analytics, which is very powerful. So remember that value chain overview? I showed that orange arrows, which is website analytics. You want to be aware of all these things so that you know what's wrong. I have a bounce rate that I can see. I can see how many people are leaving my store. Where are people spending time on? They're spending time in this page. Why? You know, they aren't going to this page. What's the problem? You know, is my website not good enough in terms of the experience? Is it not very liquid? You know, is there too many clicks for people to do to buy something? That's what analytics is. Marketing, another great feature of Shopify, plugs in straight to your store. You can get a whole bunch of different apps that you integrate with it, and it allows you to just do everything from your store. So you're basically fulfilling orders from your store. So that just means sending it to people and making sure that it's delivered. That's fulfilling. You can keep track of analytics, see what's happening. You can keep track of marketing. Great. It's all in one. That's what I love about Shopify. The admin is very, very low. Now I'm on the apps page. You can see that I have cart notifications. That's just an app that I've added so that when someone adds something to their cart, but then they leave that page, in the top of their browser where the tab is, it'll actually start flashing red with a 1 to show that they have something in their cart and they haven't actually completed their order. So like I'm saying, I'm trying to keep track of their whole user experience. I want to remind people that they do have something there and they need to come back, because it's all about the intention. So there's this whole attention economy. How long are you keeping people there? People are spending minutes on your website of a very limited amount of time that they have. So you want to make sure that you're getting to the point and that they are willing to spend that there. Other things I have: Google Shopping, Facebook Marketing, Infinite Product Options, Kit. Kit is an AI marketing tool. It will generate marketing material for me. It will target specific customers it thinks are likely to buy from my store. What's big about this e-commerce is automation. You want to automate as much of this process as possible because you need to spend time on things that actually matter. So you want to spend time on things that generate value and money. If you're not spending time on that, you're spending time on admin. These things are great, worrying about analytics and marketing and administrative things, but you really want to spend time on things that matter. These things can take away time. You don't have a lot of time, especially if you're a full-time student or you're a full-time worker working in an office or corporate space. You don't have a lot of time, so you need to make sure things do things for you. So Kit is great, automates the marketing process. I don't have to worry. It actually plugs into my Facebook Messenger. It sends me prompts. It'll say, "Hi Daniel, I've seen that someone has bought something from our store. Should I send them a thank you note?" 1, yes. 0, no. I send 1, sends an email. "Hi Daniel, I've noticed that we've had a whole lot of potential customers come onto our store. I would like to target them with Facebook advertising. Can I spend 1, 100 Rand, 2, 200 Rand, 3, 300 Rand on Facebook advertising to target them?" I click 3, 300 Rand gets spent on advertising. People, it has identified itself. So you see how it has taken the whole problem away from worrying about administration, worrying about advertising. It does it for you perfectly. Where it does lack though is specific advertising. So Kit is great for managing the mundane tasks. So admin thank yous, abandoned carts. So you remember when I said people leave your store after putting all the information? It'll send an abandoned cart email 10 hours afterwards, 24 hours afterwards saying, "Hi so-and-so, you left this in your car. Here's a 10% discount code, use it." It does those tasks for you. What it doesn't do very well, which is still where there's a human element that's needed, is specific targeting on Facebook, where you actually decide what areas, what interests, what behaviors I want to target as a business owner. So I'll explain that to you later when we get to marketing, but it helps with automation. That's the whole point. Another thing you want is product reviews. So I have that on each of my products so that people can actually leave a review. And there's another app that I'm actually going to install that's going to remove this one. It's called Yotpo. And what it does is that it sends an automated email to ask people for reviews. So what I've been doing is personally emailing them as the owner of this e-commerce store to develop a relationship, to ask them for a review. But like I said, you want to automate as much of the process as possible. So Yotpo is going to do that for me. It's literally going to take the place as me and ask them, and they'll leave a review in their email. So before they had to come onto my store, click write review, click how many stars they want, click a little brief write-up. Yotpo will do that all in the email browser. Very nice, very simple. I want to have a good user experience, but there's another big e-commerce term, social proof. The whole point of social proof is that when people come onto your website, you want them to actually trust you based off of others' trust. And social proof is showing others' trust in your store. If you don't have social proof, you're not going to have trust from that customer. So there's things you can do as a business owner to establish trust. Like I said, having a domain, co.za, having an email, daniel@cocoon.co.za. Those are things I can do. But now I want to utilize my customers and get them to show others that they can trust me. And that's what social proof is all about. You want to use social proof in various ways, like having a Facebook profile, having an Instagram profile. You want to have product reviews on your website. You want to have a contact form where people can actually contact you. All these things increase social proof, and it increases the probability that people are going to buy. There's another term called conversion rate. Conversion rate is when people come onto your store how many of those 100 people actually end up buying a product. Conversion rates are very, very low. It's standard around 1%. So for every 100 people that come on, probability is only one is going to buy a product. That's hectic. You have 100 people coming onto your store and only one's going to want to buy. You want to increase that as high as possible. So you want to have all the factors you can to increase that conversion rate, whatever it would cost. So Yopo is a great example. How to do social proof. Like I was saying earlier, I have an SEO booster for my Shopify website. And what it does is it boosts that Google ranking. So when you Google Cocoon, you're not going to find it right now on the first page. That's because my SEO isn't good and I need to work on it with the Shopify app. What I must say though, Shopify is notorious for not having good search engine optimization. But it's okay, there's other ways to mitigate against that with marketing, which I'll show you. That's not really a big thing. You still want people to have a good time on your store. That last thing there I have is trusted site. So trusted site gives you this McAfee secure connection badge, would I say. Basically certifies that your site is okay. And if you ever look in the top left, you'll see that there's a green lock. I don't know if you guys have seen it, especially when you're doing payments and stuff. That shows that your website's secure, it's encrypted, and people aren't going to go and hack your information after you put it in. You can trust that. It all goes into having social proof. So you want to have as much social proof as possible, get people to actually feel it's okay, especially in South Africa where there's such low trust with online spending. The last one I have there is UAfrica, shipping multi-channel. So I'm going to introduce you to UAfrica. What they are is a fulfillment service. And I haven't been paid by any of these people. This is just my experience of what I have found is the greatest. I would love for them to sponsor me, but I'll still be honest with you. So I'll get into UAfrica later. So pricing with Shopify. This is where the real meat comes in. Is basic Shopify, which is what I have. You get an online designated store. It's $29 a month with hoping the exchange rate works well. A few days ago it was $4.25. So depending on the exchange rate, it can be very bad, it can be very good. But 425 Rand, you can budget a month to have Shopify, the basic one. This is an example of a fixed cost when we go back. It doesn't change with the amount of products you sell. It doesn't change with the amount of sales you make. It's constant. So when you're working out that margin, you need to say, remember I gave that example, 100 Rand, 50 Rand cost, 50 Rand margin profit, let's say. I need to sell how many to get into 425, and everything above that is profit. So you need to constantly remember costing. A great alternative that Shopify gives is something called Shopify Lite. So Facebook is a great medium to actually have a store. So Facebook has recently given the option to have a shop where people can actually go onto your shop, and on Facebook, there's like a little column on the left, where you'd find home, events, posts, videos, photos. You can actually have a shop option, and that allows you to actually put your products there. So if you don't want to commit to a website and paying this fee, you can pay 132 Rand a month, and Shopify gives you the option to sell on Facebook. And you can get a buy button, and you can accept credit cards from your Facebook page. So Facebook will act as your, it'll basically act as your medium. What I must say about that though, it is a great alternative, but it's not really the experience that users are looking for, and I haven't really seen much difference with how people do in terms of selling on Facebook from a direct page, not just the marketplace. But it is an alternative, and if you can do it well, if you attract a lot of people to your Facebook page and you engage a lot with people there, that is a great option. What I do is that I already list my products there on Facebook, but people, when they want to buy, have to go to the website. So you kind of just plugging your fingers in all these different holes. And what Shopify allows you to do is it allows you to have multiple sales channels. So that's just places people can buy your product from. So I have 4 sales channels. I have Shopify itself, I have Facebook, I have Instagram, and I have Google Shopping. So all those places people can see my products and come back to my store and then buy. you want that because you want people from any kind of target audience to come to your store and buy. You really want to throw your net, as you were, across the target markets, and then from there different people will come up. And different of those sales channels play into different strengths. So Instagram is a great platform to actually showcase your product. Facebook is a great place to actually interact in terms with people, building a community, showing credibility, writing posts, kind of getting engagement through that. That's what Facebook is good for. And Google Shopping goes back to when people search for your item or search for some sort of product. So that is pricing, right? It can be quite expensive, but if you're going to start up, you should at least budget to have at least a year's worth of money available to do Shopify if you're going to go this route, because the likelihood of making enough sales in the first year depends on your product and how well your performance is. So that's pricing. So other options. Shopify isn't the only e-commerce provider. If you actually search for e-commerce platform, you're going to find absolutely hundreds and hundreds of different platforms that give you more or less the same thing that Shopify offers, but Shopify's value for money is very, very high in terms of what it gives you. Other options, if you are technically able, so if you are a coding genius, WordPress and WooCommerce are probably the way to go. The reason being, you have full, absolute control over absolutely everything you see. So like I was saying with Shopify, you're in charge of the Lego bricks and how you want it to look, but you can't change the Lego brick. The Lego brick is a Lego brick, right? With WordPress and WooCommerce, you have absolutely full control of how those bricks look like, what you want it to do, everything, right? So this is more for the technically able. WordPress is just kind of this website creator. It is free, but it has some plans if you want to have an e-commerce store. WooCommerce is basically a toolkit for WordPress. So it's almost like a plugin that allows you to make it into an e-commerce store. Both of those have their own pricing. So you'll sometimes find that actually costs more than Shopify, but you're kind of paying for the ability to do more if you want to. But like I was saying, the new decade is looking to be more minimalistic. So it seems like the trend now is to just have a clean cut, simple store, nothing too serious, but like this is, you're just offering, going to the value straight away. Other options, so Google Sites. Google Sites is free and it allows you to build a website like Shopify, almost like that drop-in, plug-in type of thing, kind of put in whatever order you want. Google Sites is free. I actually made Brandus's website on Google Sites. So when you saw Brandus, that was Google Sites. Completely free. You just spend time, you buy your domain, you can plug it in, put your logo, everything. Mobirise is an example of another drop your Lego pieces into different orders kind of platform. It is free as well. It's a good alternative if you want to make a website, but you don't want to commit to the cost. The problem with these is that you can't actually sell items unless you get some sort of payment gateway, or if you get a buy button or something that you can code in and kind of integrate. But that takes a lot of technical work. So if you're not gifted in those areas, then having something like Shopify, which literally manages all of it for you, is probably worth the cost that you would pay a website developer to do. So those are the other options. You're really spoiled for choice. There's also marketplace software. So I introduced you to marketplace like Takealot and Macro. What you wouldn't know is that Takealot and Macro are made up of hundreds of suppliers. So you can actually list as a seller on those platforms and sell your own products. So what you're doing is you're utilizing their infrastructure. Just like Uber provides an infrastructure to its drivers, Takealot provides infrastructure to different suppliers. So you don't have to worry about having a website cost, you just have to worry about the cost that they would charge you. So this is the risk alternative. If you risk averse, so that means if you don't really like taking a risk, you kind of want to take a bet on the other marketplaces, you have different ones to choose from. So Takealot, Bid or Buy, Hello Pretty, and Macro. Hello Pretty is a marketplace for independent creatives in South Africa. So what they do is that they are a marketplace where you can list as an independent creative. So for instance, let's say you make bags in South Africa. You can list there. You sell jewelry. If you do all these different things, you can come on to Hello Pretty. All of them have different prices. The starting fee is pretty much zero. Buy has a 50 Rand listing fee, but that's only for some categories, like if you're going to sell a car or something. That's buy. Where it really starts to hit is the monthly fee. So you're avoiding Shopify now, but you're going to be paying Takealot 300 Rand. There is an alternative to listing on the marketplace rather than having your own website. The advantage is that these websites have millions of users coming on and millions of searches on their platform. So when you create your own website, you have to compete with everyone, right? You have to compete for traffic. Like I said, the normal conversion rate is about 1%. So for every 100 people that come onto your website, only one is going to buy. When you have your own website, that's your biggest concern, is increasing your conversion rate. When you're on a marketplace, they're already funneling thousands and millions of people there. So you can see there's a much higher probability and chance for having a higher conversion rate, especially if you're offering a real valued product. That's an advantage. They also do marketing. So if you have a great product and they like it as well, they're going to want to market it because they make money off of every sale you make. What you are doing though is you're tying yourself down and you're decreasing your margins because there's other fees that come into account, which you really need to take care of. Because Takealot, for instance, you would need to pay them for a storage fee because they will keep your product, and the logistics fee, which is when they courier it. So let's say you have a 200 Rand product that you want to sell on Takealot. You're going to pay that monthly fee. Then you're going to pay Takealot to store that product that's worth 200 Rand, and you're going to pay Takealot for that delivery. So let's say it costs you 100 Rand to make that 200 Rand product. You can see how your margin is going to start to decrease. The 100 Rand profit or profit margin there, when you make a sale, is going to decrease with the storage fee, and then particularly with the delivery fee. And then there's a commission on top of that they slap on, because you're basically paying them for the privilege, let's say, of being on their store, accessing all their customers, accessing their searches, and their marketing. So you really need to consider, is it worth it? And for your product in particular, if you have a product with a high margin, then this might be a great idea. But also, it's less risky. So for instance, like Hello Pretty, if you're an independent creative, you go on there, you startup fee is 0 Rand. If you're a starter, you can list one product for free, and you only pay when there's a sale, which is great because it means that the risk you have is people not buying something. And Hello Pretty is different to other marketplaces like Takealot and Macro because you're in charge of couriering and you're in charge of logistics. So each of these marketplaces are unique and they're good for a certain type of business. So you would really need to look at your product and say, is this worthwhile to be on this marketplace? Is there an advantage? You'll notice that the commissions are quite big, 4 to 15%. 15% is for those big items, like technology. Buy is 10.06 for cars and whatnot, but 4%, 2.88 is for much smaller things. You just need to go look because each website has their own categories of commissions. So it could be worthwhile. If you have a 20% margin, a 4% margin is probably not that bad of a hit if you are going to get access to millions of people. So this is the risk-adverse alternative. On this, you can actually create your own marketplace if that's the type of business you want to look into. So there's marketplace software where you can actually just create not just a website, but a website for other people to come and put their website or products. That's also another business idea. It really just depends. So an example of one is this marketplace called We Buy Local, and what they do is that you go onto there if you are a South African retailer or you produce at least 40 or 60% of your stuff here in South Africa, and then they'll list it for you and you pay them a fee. So that's a good business model because all you're doing is listing other people. But you have to be niche. So they're playing on the fact that it's locally produced. So just depends on what your idea is, what product you want to sell, or what kind of service you want to offer. But the e-commerce side of business is huge. Like there's a lot of potential. All right, so the payment gateway. This is what I was talking about. If you're going to create your own store, let's say you develop yourself, you need a payment gateway that will capture the process. So my advice is to use PayFast. There's no monthly fees. They only have a transaction fee, which is a fixed and a variable component that hits off of everyone. But look at all that it allows you to capture. Credit and check cards, instant EFT, MobiCred, Zapper, MasterPass, S-Code, debit cards. There's really no use not using PayFast. What's nice is that PayFast is integrated into Shopify. So Shopify, if you're not in South Africa, will charge you a 2% transaction fee, but there seems to be a deal between PayFast and Shopify where PayFast kind of absorbs that fee. So you're not paying Shopify a transaction fee, you're just paying PayFast, which is a pretty good deal to me, I think. The other one is SnapScan. You guys would know that. It's a 250 Rand once-off fee, and then you pay a 3% transaction fee on every transaction. If you're going to get PayFast, you'll have Zapper, which is basically in line with SnapScan, which is where they put the QR code and you get that payment. That also solicits trust because you don't have to input your credit card details into the website. You just scan the code. But I'm going to show you how it looks like on our website. So once you get to the end, you put in all your details and you choose payment, and there's PayFast. And on the right, you have an option to put in a discount code. But you can see the total here for the Sweet Tooth Care Cocoon is 210 Rand plus shipping. You go to it, you follow through, and you'll find that PayFast gives you all these options on the far right. And they manage the payment for you. So you don't have to worry about anything. It's just autonomous, like I said. They manage the payment. That's pretty much what PayFast is. Same thing with SnapScan, it would look the same. SnapScan does have only partial integration with Shopify. So when people want to use SnapScan in your Shopify store, SnapScan is going to email them the QR code to pay. So it's a bit more admin, which you don't really want. You want your customers to have a good experience where they just quick, go through. Anyway, that is payment gateways. The next thing to worry about is the distribution network. This is very important for any type of e-commerce store if you're not listed on a marketplace that will charge you a storage fee. So Africa is my one. You'll remember that was one of my apps that integrated into my store. What happens is that they give you access to 3 different couriers on their own website. So it integrates into your store. When someone places an order, that order goes straight to their website to fulfill, where you can choose to courier through Courier Guy, Courier It, or Dawnwing without needing your own type of account. So you would usually have to open your own account with Courier Guy or one of those couriers, but they really give you good administration. So you use their platform to fulfill, and they collect from your address. So you can put your home address if you want to start at home as your business. They'll come collect from you. So it's very, very easy. They also give automated parcel tracking, which is very important because you want your customers to know where that product is. Has it been delivered? Is it still in transit? Is it still at the warehouse? Well, your house? Anyway, you want them to know where it is. And they pay, it's 99 Rand a month. And then there's rates per shipment. So they will allow you to see the different 3 couriers and how much they want to each charge you to, let's say, sending from here, Joburg to Cape Town. They'll show you the price per courier, and then you have the option to choose. You don't just have the option to choose the courier, you also have the option to choose how fast you want it to go. So you want it economy, by road, air freight, overnight shipping. You can choose whatever you want. And then you charge your own customer shipping in your store. So that 210 Rand was made up of a 50 Rand shipping fee. So I choose on my store as a strategy to offer cheaper shipping so that people are more inclined to buy and continue. So I'd rather have a higher product price and a lower shipping fee because I don't have abandoned carts. I had a stage when I had a lot of abandoned carts. People would spend all the time putting in their detail, spending time putting in their shipping address, and then when they get to the shipping stage and they see the price, they backed out. So you don't want that. An option besides Africa, if you don't want to do that, is to find an independent courier to sign with. So there's estimated 300 couriers in South Africa. So we're really spoiled for choice. So you just need to do market research. I find that Courier Guy is reliable. Courier is one of the most technologically advanced couriers in South Africa. Each one kind of has its own advantage. You would need to look at that and do market research to see if it would suit your product. They all have limitations. What I've done, and this is not to advertise them, but I've created a personal account with Courier Guy, and then I've plugged that into Africa for their interface. So I'm paying Africa for the ease of doing fulfillment, but I'm getting cheaper rates from Courier Guy by going straight to them. Because obviously Africa will add a commission onto the rates that the 3 couriers offer them. So you just kind of need to be smart, see what you need to do. You want to have the lowest possible cost so that your margin is bigger, because you don't want to have that cash burn. Another option, if you don't want to have the product at your house or have that problem of worrying about the admin, you can automate. So there's this company called Parcel Ninja, and they offer warehousing solutions. So you would basically send your stationery and your products to them, and they will manage it. So stationery is a couriering term for like the parcels or the packaging or the tape or the fragile stickers. That's stationery. Parcel Ninja will worry about all of that for you. All the warehousing, the ordering, the picking and packing, the delivering, and the reporting to you. So if you don't have time to spend at home and have someone there who can actually send it and worry about that admin, you can give it to them. Obviously that comes at a higher cost, but you're paying for convenience and less stress, worrying about things that matter. Okay, here is kind of a snapshot of costs that you can expect. So on the far right, this is just monthly costs. So if you have to go the Shopify basic route, Africa for fulfillment and email, you're going to be paying a base cost of 536 Rand, depending on the exchange rate. I've added shipping there, advertising, product, and miscellaneous. Shipping and your product cost, you can see I put a Y there. The reason I did that is because those are kind of going to be absorbed by the revenue you make. So it's not really a cost that is monthly, so much as when you make sales, those costs arise. So you kind of see why I put that as Y. Why I put in X for advertising, because that's discretionary. So you get to decide how much you want to spend on advertising per month. So that is a monthly cost. You have to advertise, especially if you're having your own store. No one's going to know about it, but you want to get people there. So there's different strategies with doing that, but you really want to be efficient, and I'll talk about it more later. On the far left, you'll see there's some startup costs you need to worry about. So market research, however you do that, you need to do it before you start, because you don't want to create a product for a problem that doesn't exist. And then you spend all this money on something that's pretty much worthless. So you need to do market research. Whatever that costs, you need to do it. Registration fees. If you want to start your own private company, the cost is actually very small. If you want to get a name, it's 50 Rand. And if you want to register the private company, it's 125 Rand. And you can do it all through the CIPC's website. And it's actually quite efficient now. You also need to worry about putting money into inventory. So having inventory on hand before you start is important. So customers are used to that 1 to 2 day delivery. So you want to make sure you have some stock on hand. If you don't have starting inventory, then you're going to have a lot of problems with customer frustration and stuff. A problem that will arise later on, if you're doing very well, is having stock problems where you don't have enough inventory. But that is a good problem to have in your business, so you can worry about that good problem when it comes and try and make it more efficient. So monthly costs, basically summarizing that, monthly maintenance of Shopify, advertising, and then a whole lot of other costs that you wouldn't expect to include, but you have to include, is property costs. So if you're paying rental, you're paying water, electricity, Wi-Fi, all those things are important for your business. Then there's equipment costs. If you have a cell phone for your business, computer, machinery, you need to kind of factor in that into your business. Otherwise, you're just going to have cash burn because you'll be making money, but it'll just be disappearing, right? And you need to price your products strategically so that you're making enough, not just to cover your variable costs, like I was saying, but your fixed costs that don't change with how much you sell. Annual costs is your domain name. So a domain name that happens every year, they renew it. If you don't renew it, you lose access to that. So it's not a once-off purchase. You have to actually renew that continuously. Depends on the domain you have. Usually it's about 100 to 200 Rand. It's not really a huge cost, but it is a cost. Cool. Connecting the dots, okay. I've literally taken you through most of this value chain here. So you know how to do a website, you know how to worry about payment gateways, fulfilling your order, warehousing, delivery, courier. I've shown you what drop shipping is. I've given you some sort of website analytics. Now we're going to worry about the performing aspect. So that's the end of executing. We know how to plan. We know we can't just stop planning. We know how to execute. We have to continuous. That's a continuous thing. It does not end. And we're going to go to performing now. And that has to do with marketing. It has to do with all the good things that come from having a business. So I'm just going to jump straight into it. Performing. Our greatest glory is not in never failing, but in getting up every time we do. That's from Confucius. So that's from understanding that it's inevitable that you're going to fail. You're going to fail a lot. But you need to learn from that and get up as soon as you fail. It's not a motivational talk. It's literally what you need to do to stay afloat, especially if you've committed to paying monthly fees. You need to worry about that. Okay, so advertising. There's a marketing argument. So there's an argument that you shouldn't need to spend money on advertising if your product is good enough, right? I think from the get-go though, you do need to advertise, and over time you'll find that some companies don't actually spend any money on advertising. So a notorious example is Tesla. They spend zero on advertising, but they make absolutely millions of dollars because the product sells itself. When you're starting up though, no one's going to know about you unless you're on a marketplace where your product is already listed there. If you have your own website, you have to be very intentional about how you advertise, because that's where a lot of your money will go to. And sometimes it's all about trial and error, like kind of what happens with your advertising. So I'm sure you guys are well aware of different things, but the three main roles of marketing is to identify your customers, to satisfy them, and to retain them. So that's what you're really looking to do with your marketing. Kit, like I was talking about, that AI, that'll help you identify your customers. You need to satisfy your customers with the product that you're going to do, and you need to retain them by having a good experience, having good customer service, but we'll chat about that. So it's important to market. You can't not do it. It will not be good for your business not to do that. There's different channels that you can do it. On top of advertising is Google Ads. Absolutely on top. When people are searching for a product, the first thing they go to is to Google that product. The very first thing. I'm sure you will notice it yourself. You'll go to your Google search bar and you'll search for something before you commit to some sort of marketplace or product. You're going to Google it first. And Google Ads lets you be that very, very first kind of link there at the very top, right underneath the search bar. So you're paying for position. That means with Google Ads, you don't have to care about your search engine optimization because you're paying to be at the very top. So there's an advantage of using Google Ads if you with Shopify, because you're really going to put yourself at the very best. And what's great about Google Ads is that they only pay you per click or per impression when someone actually clicks it, your advert, which is quite affordable. And if you were Shopify, they give you a kind of this discount where if you pay 200 Rand for Google Ads, they'll give you 600 Rand credit. So it's a great place to start off. My absolute favorite though is Facebook advertising. And the reason for that is that they own Instagram and it pulls together. So this can be very technical. That's why I'm not going to show you how it works, but there are lots of courses which teach you and lots of YouTube videos that show you how. But Facebook advertising is probably one of the best ways to advertise in the modern world because what they let you do, and consumers won't know who use Facebook, but they allow you to target the interests of a person, behavior of a person, and demographics of a person. So interests, for example, if you have interacted with a gardening page, for instance, it knows your interest is gardening. If you've interacted with a post on your Facebook page of a car, it knows you like cars. Facebook creates a customer profile of you as a person. That's not even the scariest part. The behavior part of Facebook advertising, they know if you have a wife, if you have a spouse, they know if you just got into a relationship, they know if you just broke up, they know if you have a best friend's anniversary coming up, you know if you have your own anniversary, they know if your best friend's having a party, a birthday. They track all these behaviors. They even track how long you spend on Facebook, what you look at. They even track what you do offline. So Facebook actually pays a whole bunch of people for other information to see like your purchasing behavior. So they actually spend a lot of money at banks trying to get that information, which is apparently purchasable. So Facebook creates all those. You can even target them by different demographics, where you live, where you visited recently, for instance, what wealth you kind of have, you know, are you a high income earner, all these kind of features, and they bring you more and more and more. So Facebook advertising is the absolute best because you can target each of those things. When I'm making an ad, I can target an entrepreneur, I can target that he's a high or low income earner, I can target that he works at home, I can target if he works at a certain company, I can target if he has a girlfriend, I can target if he has a relationship anniversary coming up, I can target if he has a dog, if he likes dogs, if he likes cats. I can do absolutely anything with Facebook advertising. Very, very cool if you have a very niche product and you need to show the very customers you need, because Facebook is a huge place and they have a really great interface for advertising because it shows you how many people you're going to hit, how many people are in the kind of group that you've selected. Very powerful. LinkedIn, there's an advantage of business to business. If your kind of company is all around helping other businesses, LinkedIn is a good place to go for that. There is a case for selling to consumers there because you can target executives, certain positions, let's say like a salesperson or a marketing assistant, you can target those things. So the advantage of modern advertising, you can target absolutely anyone you want to for any amount of money. So when you're going into these things, you don't need thousands of brands. There's actually a case for doing quick, easy ads, like paying 100 Rand on an ad. That's it. Don't spend much more. And what Facebook gives you is something called the Facebook Pixel, which you install onto your website. It's very important to have a pixel because it actually learns from the behavior of people that come onto your website. It learns about the people who have purchased from your website, and it learns about everything they do there, so that when they go onto Facebook and you advertising, you use your website's pixel and it will target the people it thinks you're most likely to buy from you. So there's a case for actually starting off your advertising by targeting, but then letting your pixel learn. Every time you make a sale, your pixel will learn. So I've seen some people who have a pixel that has been trained by 10,000 sales. That's a very efficient pixel because it knows exactly who to target, what they look like, what they do, where they're spending time. It knows what to do. When you're starting off though, there's a lot of trial and error. So you're going to throw a lot of money at trying to train that pixel and trying to actually find your target consumers. But that's just the way it works. I mean, it's kind of just how a business is right now. So that's marketing. The next thing to worry about when you're performing is customer service. So how this looks like on your website, it looks like having an email there available. It looks like having WhatsApp support. So on my store, I have a Facebook Messenger button that people can click, takes them straight to Facebook to send my business page a message, right? Instantaneous feedback or service to them. That's another example. It's showing your contact details on your website, having a contact form. So you're right, get in touch with us and people can fill it in right there. You want to have the best, allow customers to target you where they want. That's customer service. Very important to consider. This customer feedback is fundamental. So you need to email and ask your customers, how are they enjoying the product? What can you do to help them? You need to worry about what they think, and you need to continuously ask them, because like I said, you never graduate from the planning stage. And if you're not doing something right, your feedback needs to show you that you're not doing it right, so that you can change things and then execute accordingly, right? So it's really obvious when you're not performing well what's happening, because you actually just need to find out what's happening. Am I not offering the right product? Whatever. Going back to social proof, reviews are everything. Reviews, reviews, reviews. That is so important on your website. If people are going to trust your website or your product, you need to show it. I mean, even a notorious shopping app called Wish, where you buy very cheap products, they even have a review section. And Wish is notorious because it's very, very cheap products, break easily, don't really function well, but they still have the courage to take reviews on, even if they're going to be bad. So you need to do that anyway. It's not a bad testament to who you are. You just need to be knowledgeable about your business and how it's not doing well or what's wrong. Okay, performing comes with revenue. I've kind of alluded to this throughout, but the key point is that your receipts aren't your profit. So when you receive 200 Rand for selling a product, that is not your profit. So you need to kind of be strategic about your cash flow and see that I've made 200 Rand. Where does it need to go? What does it need to service? The next point is discounts. So if you remember all the way back to that 12,000 people survey, they found that continuous promotion is vitally important for a reason people buy online. So when you're factoring in your revenue and your pricing, you need to take into account that you should be willing to offer 10% discount all the time. An analysis of startups, 30% break even, 30% are continually losing money, right? That's 60% of all these e-commerce startups. 60% are either just breaking even, which means they're meeting their costs dead on, or 30% are continually losing money. That means only 40% are actually making a profit. And I think the big reason for that is that people don't understand their revenue and they don't understand their costing. If you costed correctly, you wouldn't just be losing money. And breaking even, that's a good place to be. That's better, because then at least you're meeting your service obligations. You're not having this cash burn. Okay, pricing strategies, there's kind of a various few. There's penetration pricing, which is where you go into a market with a very low cost with the whole purpose of attracting customers. You need to do research on your own self, because pricing strategies are different for different kind of products. But you need to be aware that there are different advantages you can have from pricing lower, or pricing a little bit higher but having lower shipping. You know, these are all things you need to consider, and that goes in a shipping strategy. Tax, this can be very complicated. If you're a sole proprietor, it works off your own rates. I've actually included the table there for you guys, so you can see that between 1 and 195,000 Rand, you're paying 18%. So if you're a small business, that's much more beneficial than paying 28%, you see? And it's only of your taxable income. So there's a lot of things that go into this. Like I said, I'm not a tax practitioner. People spend their whole careers on this. But there is an advantage of looking at different solutions that SARS gives you. So when you're earning a lot of money, it may be beneficial to do the 28% in a private company. But there's a little known fact that you can actually register as a micro business, and then you qualify for turnover tax. So turnover tax is if you're making less than R1 million a year. And what that means is that you get into a different bracket. So between the 0 and 335,000 Rand in turnover, so that's what you're receiving, you're paying 0% tax. Zero. I mean, that's very, very good for a business, especially when you're starting off. You need to be putting all the money you make back into it to grow. So you're not actually wanting to pull money from the business. So registering as a micro business, the government is actually trying to help you so that you can keep putting money back into that, and all the way up to R1 million. So if you're earning turnover 750k plus, you're only paying 6,650 Rand in tax plus 3% of the amount above 750. Very, very decent if you're a small business and you wanted to get that going. The only problem though with registering for turnover tax is the admin is very, very cumbersome. So you actually have to go physically with yourself to submit your tax forms and whatnot. You have to do that yourself. So it can be very cumbersome, but like I said, if it works for you, you need to go and investigate it, do some research. I've included resources at the very end, a whole bunch of links. There's this guy called taxtim.co.za or something. He's really useful for finding out about tax and if you qualify, what you need to do. So we're getting towards the very end now, and this is kind of just putting everything together, looking at failures and pitfalls, and then we'll do the big picture. So failure and pitfalls, these are the biggest reasons why startups or e-commerce stores fail, right? It's actually, there's quite a large amount that don't make it past a year, let alone 3.5 years. So you kind of need to keep these failures and pitfalls in mind so that you don't yourself fall into these, you know. It's inevitable that you might, but you need to kind of get up every time that happens and kind of look for that feedback and then work around it. So the first biggest one is the failure to find unsolved customer pain. So that's creating a product that doesn't actually solve anything, right? You create a product that does nothing really, it just looks good. You don't want to do that. That's where market research comes in. You want to throw yourself into market research. The next biggest one is the reluctance to get feedback. So there's something that I call the thief mentality. You're so scared that people are going to steal your idea that you don't actually tell anyone about it, and you don't actually get that feedback. You need to avoid that completely, right? The reason being is that if you don't actually get feedback, you're not going to know if you're creating a product that's for no one, right? And you're not going to know if anyone actually cares about that. And the biggest reason people don't share that is because they're scared they're going to steal it. But this goes into the third one, is for failure is no passion. If you find something that you are passionate about and you're taking the initiative, no one can actually steal that from you. So the reluctance to get feedback is actually voided because if you have that passion, no one can steal that from you. So you're the one's going to be spending tons of time making sure you can get customers, worrying about your product, worrying about the user experience, right? No one can steal that from you, so you need to worry about that. Other ones, lack of skills, Shopify and things like that really help around that. Ignoring cash burn, I've talked about that continuously. Cash is king, as they say. So if you're not worrying about your cash flows, you're kind of missing the point. It's especially important when you're starting off. Kind of getting towards the end is not the right team and not automating as much of the process as possible. So probability is you're going to be a one-man band starting off. If you're going to do an e-commerce store maybe, or if you have help, but you really need to automate the process and get help. Okay, the big picture. So we've gone through the entire value chain overview, and this is what you want to do when you're going now. If you want to create that e-commerce store, you want a friendly interface, you want support at the very top, which is where you are as a business owner. You want to have a strong link with customer. You want to ensure customer acceptance. So that means that people are buying into what you're selling, you know, kind of making it their own. And that's what comes with social proof. And then up-to-date information, continuous promotions, tracking bookings, you know, quick deliveries, providing technical support, and then good, fast processing, so your website isn't slow. And that's it. So if anyone has any questions, you're welcome. But thanks for coming, guys.
So if I may ask, so you spoke about dropshipping, and one of the problems with dropshipping in South Africa is just the time that it takes to get there. So have you seen any local manufacturers getting into dropshipping?
Dropshipping. I mean, there are a lot of manufacturers that are interested. I think the benefit would be to actually you yourself approach for that opportunity to do that. So I find that often when you approach a manufacturer, there's actually a lot of like reluctance. But if you are going to, because the whole point of dropshipping is that you're not taking any of the risk on. The manufacturer is going to take all the risk on. So when you approach a manufacturer, they're not going to be very happy that they're the one taking all the risk with dropshipping, because you're pretty much just the intermediary managing the transaction. They're doing the delivery and stuff. So, I mean, it really, I can't give a definite like yes or no. It would take research to find a manufacturer and a product that is able to do that kind of structure. Yeah.
For now, I'll ask another question. You spoke a lot about physical products, but electronic products like let's say books or education material and so on. You see that there's a market in South Africa for that?
Yeah, for sure. So Shopify actually allows you to kind of sell those, those non-physical products on the store. I think the problem is that those markets are already dominated. So you already have Amazon, you already have all these different companies that are already offering that option to do that. So if you're going to go that route to kind of sell a part, you kind of need to distinguish yourself as a store somehow differently. But I mean, I think there's always a market to innovate and to change and to offer something new. I mean, you find it in France now. There's actually government subsidies for bookstores because they're closing down because people are only buying online books. So it's happening. I mean, if you're looking at overseas, it's happening. So it's really where you take it and what you want to do with it, and kind of just analyzing the opportunities in the emerging markets and seeing, But that's the hard part, is actually identifying opportunity. Yeah. Cool. Well, I'll actually email these slides to all of you, and then you can take what you want from it and whatnot. And if you have any other questions, you can always email me or find me on LinkedIn. Yeah.
If they want the video.
Yeah, we can chat. So it's open to all of you. But thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. It's been great to present to all of you. So.